Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Welcome back to Fintech Summer Sessions 24. My name is Sagar. I'm part of the Fintech Saudi team. And I'm really pleased to have you all here for week three. I can't believe we're already in week three of Fintech Summer Sessions. So in week one, we covered financial inclusion, learned a lot from Carl about what financial inclusion is, what that means. And this is sort of a continuation of that. One of the key areas we talked about was financial inclusion also means around getting better at savings, getting better at wealth management. How do you look after your money? So I'm really pleased that we have a session today on wealth management and savings. I'm really pleased that we have Ziad Mabsood from us. He's the co-founder of Veneer, and they are involved in the wealth tech space. We've been through the presentation. You guys are in for a treat. We've got a lot of information that we're going to be covering over in this. We also have a big announcement for you. So we're going to share that at the end. So please do stay with us because we have a great announcement of some exciting things coming up in the kingdom as well. So as ever, please do add your Q&A in the chat, in the Q&A box, and we'll try and get through as many of the questions as we can. But for now, let me hand it over to Ziad to start the presentation. Ziad, thank you very much for being here with us.
Thank you, Sagar, very much for having me. And I'm very pleased to participate in Summer 24 of Fintech Saudi series of discussions. And very pleased as well to be with you with all the attendees. Thank you very much for organizing this. So actually, I will start with a simple introduction. My name is Ziad Mabsood. I'm a co-founder and head of distribution at Veneer. Veneer is a venture that we've started, me and my co-founders, to solve the problem of access to the private wealth and to be a platform for wealth creation for the people like us. Why me? Probably it's a question I thought of it. Why I'm doing this? Mainly the reason because I've been into the journey of Veneer for the past years, and I'm solving and contributing to build a solution to solve the problem of wealth creation. So we are in the space of wealth tech. But to be very frank with you, everyone, the topic of wealth management and saving is very close to my heart. And apparently, I have a lot of incidents at my young age as a kid that proved to me that this is a topic that I have it built in my mind, in the way I think, and I've built my even personal portfolio, and the way I approach my savings, and the way I have allocated my savings. And really what I want to do is to transfer this and empower it through technology to the biggest crowd. So during this session, what are we going to cover? We'll cover the topic of wealth management and saving, the relationship between both of them, the historical delivery and challenges, impact of fintech, the financial technology sector on the sector, and the future opportunities, trends, and challenges. I would like to close by the end with a Q&A. I would like to hear your questions and to address them with all the knowledge and experience that we've been through. Actually, before we start this session officially, or kind of the presentation, I would like to, with the support of Lina from Fintech Saudi, I would like to raise a question to everyone here. How do you describe your relationship with money? And there are three options that I manage my finances in an okay way. I struggle with managing my finances, or I have a solid grasp on managing my finances. So this is, if you don't mind, just the first answer that comes to your mind, please answer it. I would like to take this output of this poll and build on it during our conversation. So just give you a couple of seconds. Perfect. Up until we have the results, and thank you for participating, I would like to now just mention the relationship between saving and investing, which opens as well the opportunity to speak about wealth management. Before speaking about wealth management, we need to go to the roots of this, which is saving, because managing wealth comes to managing resources, right? But how do you generate those resources? The most important factor or element or a driver for wealth management is creating wealth, starts with saving. So let's look into the difference between saving and investing. Saving involves setting money aside in a safe or liquid accounts. Saving involves putting checking accounts, UST bills, or money market accounts, and savings provides a capital for investing. So in the practicality, what does this mean? This means when I speak about the relationship, your relationship with money, this means how do you make your purchase decisions? How do people decide on their savings? Do they get their salary and their income, spend from it, and then whatever is left in the account is considered saving? Or do they follow a very systematic and structured way of saving where it's a predefined percentage? They take it out from their checking account, the account that they use for their daily expenses and paying bills, and put it aside in a different account where they don't have access to it. This is an example of how your relationship with money, or how people's relationship with money. Then from the saving experience, when you accumulate a saving amount, what do you do with this money? And investing allow you to increase your capital, build on that amount that you save, includes stocks, bonds, and real estate, and then involves buying an asset in the hopes of earning a return. So this is the relationship between saving and investing. Now we move on to this sector, the wealth management. What are the components of wealth management and saving? There are 6 main components related to wealth management. In a simplified words, wealth management is the process of managing your wealth to achieve financial objectives. So this includes cash flow planning, investment planning, retirement planning. When I say retirement planning, something like when I stop working, how can I sustain my current lifestyle? If I'm now doing well in my job, do I have enough investments to generate for me a passive income that allows me to sustain my lifestyle? Then we have the tax planning. Tax planning is a very important component. Maybe in the context of Saudi Arabia, the tax regime is very soft comparing to other countries, but tax planning is very critical in countries where you have succession, you have change of state ownership, a lot of tax components. And then we have insurance and planning. Those are the 6 main components of wealth management and saving. And actually, this sector has been estimated by Bain and Company to reach, to double in terms of size, to exceed $500 billion in revenue by 2030. And this is mainly by the involvement of Generation Y and Z customers, that they achieve an annual income of over $100,000 by 2030. And they are estimated to come in and participate in this sector with over 250 million individuals. So obviously, this sector is a huge sector. It is expected to grow. It's expected to double in terms of size, whether we're talking globally or even in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So if we want to move to the next steps, what have been the historical delivery and challenges? Historically speaking, given that this sector is complex, this sector and this services of wealth management and financial advisory was kind of exclusive to certain people with a certain bracket of wealth. So the bigger the wealth bracket, the more efficient and economic for the individuals to have financial advisors or wealth managers to advise them on their, whether it is retirement planning, estate planning, cash flow management, and so on. So as the bracket of those people who are wealthy grows into the millions, as they used to afford the face-to-face advisory and kind of manual investment tracking. And as the wealth bracket goes down up to the lowest from $0 to $250K, which is equivalent to up to $1 million Saudi riyal, there are high costs. There are a lot of limitations for the individuals to access this kind of level of services of financial advisory and wealth management. And many people in those brackets had very limited options to plan for their wealth. So when we speak about wealth management and we speak about investments, just as a quick um, overview on the asset types that are included in this wealth management process. They are mainly private, public, and digital. The way I simplify private is everything that requires a two counterparty to transact. That means a real estate property or a real estate ownership is a private investment because it requires two counterparties and it is off the market. It's not publicly traded. Public is everything publicly traded, whether it is in a stock market, in a local stock market or a global stock market like the London Stock Exchange or even the New York Stock Exchange. And then we have a new asset class that lately has established its presence globally. It's the digital asset class, cryptocurrencies, DeFi tokens, and so on. So when we speak about now the different components, as we said, as we started from saving to wealth management, saving starts with your income. How do you save? You start accumulating, you start building a cash reserve for you to invest. And then investing by itself without a plan does not achieve necessarily your financial targets. This is why you need wealth management. Okay. And then if we dive deeper, we have the different asset classes that needs to be covered in wealth management. The most important point that wealth management is a sector that requires a 360 degrees or a holistic overview of the individuals in order to achieve the right objectives. It's not just like finding one opportunity, like I found this house, I found that land, let me buy it. But how does it look within my overall plan? Moving forward, technology has facilitated a lot of those challenges that required face-to-face manual investment tracking to lower the required human intervention. Automation has made it easier to offer the service to smaller brackets of wealth. And the three main components that technology had impact on them are auto savings, robo-advisory, and investment banking. So, for example, imagine with me, instead of every month you have your salary coming in and you need to manually decide the amount that you want to save and transfer it to a saving account, you could give like a direct debit, an auto saving instruction to your account to fund another account. This eliminates a monthly friction or a monthly opportunity for you to hesitate and not to be disciplined, for example. And it actually could be more consistent for you to achieve your saving targets for you to be able to allocate and invest. This is one simple application. The second application is robo-advisory. What is robo-advisory? Robo-advisory is an algorithm-driven financial planning. Instead of you need a financial advisor to sit with you, do one-to-one calls, one-to-one meetings through different stages to understand your profile, your financial capabilities and ability and willingness, your financial literacy as well. This is all collected through technology from a different data points, and it actually could generate for you an algorithm-driven financial plan, and it could be suggested to you for you to implement it very promptly and fastly rather than waiting for this human interaction. And the last point is investment banking by facilitating transaction. Technology nowadays and in the future will be able to more facilitate transactions between people, specifically on the private side, because the public side of the asset types have been kind of democratized and given it is securitized as well, available, you could purchase it through platform. The private is the space where it will have bigger disruption when it is securitized or tokenized. So one of the things as well, technology application and its impact on wealth management is tools that could be developed for people to use and for people to actually adopt in their process of planning and making investment decisions. I will share with you this link where you could, if you want, while we're talking now, go through it. This is a V simulator. This is a simulator we've built. We've seen after we launched that people have kind of eagerness and need to look into their potential investment performances. So what we did is we developed a simulator that allows people to go into selecting the opportunities, see how they look together as one portfolio of opportunities. I shared the link with you. You could try it while we're talking here, or you can, or even later. So those kind of tools, they could be like a retirement calculators. So by when I can retire depends by how much I can save annually, how much I can inject, and what kind of investment opportunities I will invest throughout my working period. It can give me a lot of indication and goal-driven approach, like how much I should save, how much I should work for, and when potentially I could retire. Investment portfolio simulator is something similar to the V simulator. Budgeting and expense tracking apps, which are very, very helpful for people who their relationship with money is not so great. So those apps help people track where they are spending their money. And actually, if you ask yourself, or if you do a quick survey around you or your circle of people, like you tell them, where does your money go every month? How much do you spend on food and beverages? How much you spend on entertainment? How much you spend on uh, uh, consumer goods, traveling, and so on? Many people don't have this answer. And the big difference between people who do wealth planning and the people who don't have access to those services is that the people who do wealth planning have better understanding of their relationship with money and better knowledge on how to manage money related decisions. And then finally, tools are used for tax optimization services. As I said, the tax component could be more applicable in the Western context rather than the Saudi Arabian context. So going further into the future of application of technology in this sector, we see two main segments: AI-driven technology that will have major impact on robo-advisory and AI tools for budgeting and expenses. The way you use now ChatGPT, imagine if you use it more on your financial related issues and management, and then robo-advisory. By robo-advisory, how accurate it is advice to my profile or to individuals' profile, to their targets, to their objectives. And given that life is dynamic as well, nothing is static. Robo-advisory could be developed in the future and be more appealing when it is dynamic with the changes that I face in my life. For example, if a person is single versus a person is married, this is a major event that is not necessarily directly financially related event, but given the lifestyle changes, given the responsibility, this is a data point that could impact the financial plan that I will have for the future. A young couple versus a couple who got one kid or two kids, and so on. And then blockchain-based transactions security. The blockchain as a technology, probably you've heard of this, and you are very aware of this technology as being the underlying technology of the digital assets. But the blockchain as a technology has huge potential in facilitating transactions in the asset classes that are not publicly available, going back to the private asset classes like real estate, private equity, venture capital, and so on. What has been happening in Saudi Arabia recently, and the development in Saudi Arabia were mainly driven by the vision, but as well by the two regulators that regulate the financial sector. The first regulator is the Capital Market Authority, and the second regulator is the Saudi Central Bank. And what they have done, driven, as I said, by the vision of 2030, is to create a testing environment, a place where startups and founders in the financial technology or the wealth technology sector, they could take permissions to get access to certain tools and certain permissions to be able to test their solutions with a certain number of customers, with limitation of how much the assets will be under management, just to make sure that the regulator is controlling this environment in a way that is always beneficial for the end users and to protect the end users. Under the Fintech Lab now, there are more than 37 companies approved by the Capital Market Authority that have different type of licenses. Under the Saudi Central Bank, there are more than 16 companies or startups or fintech that have the permission to operate within the sandbox. Fintech Saudi is an entity which you are very familiar with, that been initiated by those two entities to facilitate the education and the access, and to facilitate more companies and founders, to help them in setting up startups and solutions to solve the problem of the financial technology and the wealth technology related issues. The key point here that this is a sector highly regulated. And whenever we speak about financial technology or wealth technology, anything that is related to payments, wealth, investing, distributions, collection, preserving the rights of individuals, and as the investment wealth bracket goes smaller and smaller, the regulator has been more cautious and saying, when I want to make sure that I control this environment, or I put the right rules rather than using the word control, to protect those individuals, because those individuals are not equipped necessarily, or they have all the capabilities to always make the best investment decision. So they want to make sure that whatever comes their way are suitable for them, so they don't get kind of like scammed by people who are not financially responsible. But this development has been very critical in improving the scene of the fintech and wealth tech in Saudi Arabia, as well in other countries like UK, where we are based, and US, and has allowed many startups and founders to provide their solutions, whether it is on saving, expense management, robo-advisory, and they have been achieving great growth due to the adoption of the young individuals, Generation Y, Generation Z, and their need to build their financial freedom. The future challenges probably taps into what I spoke, the regulatory compliance. Technology is a sector that moves very fast, but the regulator operates within a strict and more of more human-led decision-making process. So this is where the challenges would be for anyone trying to solve a problem within the sector, is how can they operate and disrupt this sector, but within the regulatory framework. Data security is very critical, because when we speak about saving tools and expense management tools and then investment tools, this means your data or the people's data are stored in different places. And this is, for example, where a regulator could say, if you are offering a solution for my for people based in under my regulated environment, the cloud storage solution that you should use of hosting should be onshore rather than offshore or in other countries. And then you have market volatility is very critical as well, because as the investor bracket is smaller, as people are more exposed to market volatility, and this could impact their well-being and wealth stability. Obviously, staying informed and adaptable, the increased number of wealth tech and fintech that are available will increase the number of offering for people. This could create a bit of challenge for people to make decisions. So people need to be very informed and adaptive, and be following up on those developments to be on top of them. And then, as I said, continuous learning and adaptation, because the power of technology as well, not only to solve the problem of auto saving, auto investing, or robo advisory and transaction, the power of technology as well is very important to allow people to have good educational knowledge and good learning and improving their financial literacy. So as we come to close the presentation, and obviously would like to open the floor for Q&A. Wealth management is a very important and essential segment in the fintech ecosystem, and this is a sector that has been a bit behind or has a lot of potential to be disrupted. And let me put it this way: fintech has disrupted a lot of payment solutions at the beginning, and this has been impacted in our daily life. But now the new wave is about investing, and the next wave is about wealth management. That's why you will getting to hear more the word of wealth tech rather than only fintech in the future, more than you've been hearing it. And I believe it has more opportunities for people probably among you to contribute to this sector, to solve one of those issues that we discussed, to solve a specific problem. And definitely I motivate you to do this and join us in this journey. The future trends and challenges, obviously, artificial intelligence and blockchain will have a huge impact on this sector. I would like to offer as well the opportunity. I would be very delighted. Now I cannot see you. You can see me, but I cannot see you. This is unfortunately the double-edged sword of technology. But I would like you to connect with me on LinkedIn. This is my QR code. Reach out to me on LinkedIn. Connect with me on LinkedIn. I would love if you have any one-to-one question you would like to raise or one-to-one message you want to share. Please go ahead. I would be very delighted to see your profiles and to connect with you. And I will leave it now to Sagar to lead on the Q&A, and maybe if you have any question. By the way, Sagar, do we have the results of the poll?
Lena, do we have the results of the poll? So while Lena gathers the results, thank you, Ziad, for an amazing session. It was really, really insightful. I learned a lot, actually. I didn't realize the growth in this section. And if you think about it, the intergenerational transfer of wealth and the growth of Gen Z in terms of what income they're receiving, you've probably got the biggest sort of wealth being created and transferred and sort of having to be managed. So no, thank you really much, really for this session. And yes, please do connect with him on LinkedIn. I did promise Ziad that hundreds of you will be connecting with him on LinkedIn. So please do break his LinkedIn profile as well. But we've got some really good questions, actually, both on financial literacy side and financial technology side. Just as a basic sort of starting point, some of the questions which we're getting are around what's the difference between savings and investment, right? Because a lot of people are saying, hey, are you telling me that I should be investing and not savings? Is it sort of one or the other, or does one build onto the other?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I will answer it in a reverse way. You will invest. Definitely the purpose is to create wealth, right? And generate a certain level of passive income. But for you to do this, you need to invest. But for you to invest, you need capital. So there might be different ways where you could have this capital. One way is saving. The second way could be if you own a business or your family owns a business and there is an exit, or you inherited some share of the business. So you exit, then you have a capital, then you need to invest. There are other options if you were part of a business set up and you were as well able to partially exit. If you won a prize, you have capital. If there are other circumstances, or someone gifted you an amount, you graduated, or you achieved certain milestone and the family wanted to gift you certain amount. But actually everything starts actually with saving, because even if you've inherited, and even if you won a prize, and even if you sold a business, and even if you got paid a bonus, you could go and be crazy, and allow me to use a more like a street word, it's like literally crazy, and spend the money unconsciously, assuming that this money will keep on coming in the future. The main point of spending every month we spend, because we assume that we will get the same cash flow that we received before. And the worst of this are people who spend more than they have as a cash inflow coming in the future. People who rely on a credit card, and people who rely on loans, on things that they cannot afford. So actually, saving is very essential in your journey to your wealth management, and I believe it's very essential as a practice to improve your relationship with money, and then to make a money-related decision.
Thanks, Ziad. And so we've got the answers to the poll there. So 49% they say they manage their finances okay, 40% struggling with managing their finances, and 11%, only 11% have a solid grasp on managing their finances. So is that what you expected, Ziad, or is that sort of the norm?
To be very honest, I come with zero expectations always. I don't really know the crowd, but this is, look at the results. They are really more like a close to election results than anything. But it is fascinating that you have 40%. Yeah, they say that they are struggling. How big is the opportunity for wealth tech and saving solutions and spending management solutions to come in to help the 500 people and to help them plan their wealth for the future? I think this is a confirmation that probably we don't get taught at schools, at universities, or even maybe at our with our families, because probably the topic of money is not addressed in the right or within a pragmatic approach. There is a massive opportunity, and honestly, this is what we discovered at Venre, and we decided to solve that problem. One anecdote, Sagar, I once said that I will purchase my flat before purchasing a car, and as a young Lebanese, everyone laughed at me and said, you will never do this. You will purchase your car, which is a depreciating asset, before your flat. And I was so decisive on that fact, and I ended up buying my flat before the car. So the point is that people need to be motivated as well within their environment, within their surrounding, on their spending and saving behavior, in order to achieve the wealth freedom that they want to achieve. So it's a very impressive to get those results.
Great, thank you, Ziad. I don't want to spend too much time on financial literacy questions, given this is a fintech session, but we do have a lot of questions here asking about, how do I get started savings? How much of how do I start investing? How much of my savings should I invest? So any sort of insights, just very quickly on covering that. If I was just sitting here, I'm a fresh graduate, I'm getting a new job, right? I've got my expenses, I might be able to save a little bit. Is there sort of a ratios I should be using, or sort of some metrics of what should I be saving, what should I be investing?
So definitely the first rule is to have the right mentality on whenever you are making a spending decision, whether it starts with, do I need this bottle of water now, or I don't need it? Do I need this iPhone, or I don't need it? Do I need that car? Do I need that trip? And then this builds up into your mentality to say how much then I can save and put aside. As you are a fresh graduate, I want to be very frank. If you manage your expenses well, and you can put a bit of an amount on the side, that's a great achievement, because your salary won't be at really the highest potential. But as you grow in your role, we've seen people that could save anywhere from 10% up to 40% of their income. And there are definitely extreme cases where people could go extreme on their targets, and there are more the average. Currently, the kingdom average is below 10%, which was shocking to us and one of the Vision 2030 plan is to improve the saving percentage, to improve that ratio. And that's why the regulator has been pushing those ventures and facilitating. So my rule of thumb is anywhere between 20 and 30%. If you can save, that's very good starting point, where you really find a meaningful amount at the end of the financial period that you are monitoring.
Great, thank you. So let's bring this back to fintech then. Where do you see the biggest opportunities for fintechs to solve problems in wealth management savings? Is it about creating these saving habits? Is it about people? Is it about working with people who've already got savings and helping them to invest more regularly? Or is it about the transfer of wealth? Where do you see the biggest sort of opportunities for fintech solutions at the moment?
I think in every component of the journey, there is an opportunity. It starts from the education, financial literacy. There is a major opportunity where people who would build financial tools and literacy tools for people and could monitor their improvement and understanding of financial concepts, that will have a very important impact. And I believe some platforms would go and acquire such solutions because they will discover that they need such tools embedded in their solution. Then all the way to spending management and saving management tools, all the way to transactional tools, and then the holistic the wealth management tools. And if you want to double click on this, the different segments of the market will have opportunities. For example, the Generation Z and Generation Y, like as we saw neobanks that are now addressed to that segment of the market rather than to the whole market, will have as well an opportunity, because the future generation will use a different language, a different approach, and they will think differently than we are used to it. So that will be as well, from generational dimensional, a huge opportunity. The generation dimension will take into consideration the transition of wealth from one generation to another, and it will have as well a massive opportunity. The private investment is one of the most complex assets to allow people to access it, and it has been solved by like local opportunities or platforms in the kingdom, like living in Saudi, investing in Saudi in private sector, for example. But what about living in Saudi and investing cross-border? That's going to be as well one of the examples. So I believe in every component and every piece of the chain, there is an opportunity for the different segment. We always give that example. Karim came and built a solution like Uber, but for the region. And people thought like, why are you replicating? But they did the cash collection before Uber. They were very smart in doing this. They did the surge pricing before Uber. They did a lot of tools. They understood like the cultural differences when male driver or female driver. There are certain things more local. They understood it and they were able to solve it and really get acquired by Uber. So I believe in every chain of this process, there is an opportunity. But the biggest opportunity is who can really build the holistic solution. And it's not easy, to be very frank with you, and it requires a lot of capabilities. Holistic solution end to end, all the way from literacy to wealth planning and retirement.
No, I agree with you on that. I think there is a need for that, but it's a massive problem. And if some people can solve some parts of that, at least that helps us move along
exactly
the chain a little bit. Just doubling down on robo advisors, because we've got a few questions here on robo advisory. What's the advantages and disadvantages of robo advisors? And also, is this going to lead to sort of financial analysts and the traditional way just being completely destroyed in a Kodak moment, or do you see room for the traditional advisory work as well as the robo advisory work?
Yeah. The robo advisory is a sector now that is solving a big problem. As I said during the presentation, for the wealth bracket that cannot afford one-to-one financial advisory, or they cannot afford a dedicated wealth management team. So it's a very pragmatic solution. But robo advisory is algorithm driven, right? And who writes the algorithm? Are human. So instead of saying there are financial roles that will be eliminated, which could be the case, but I believe they would be shifted where the financial knowledge should be taken into those algorithms and allow the algorithm to be more comprehensive and accurate into their recommendation to the right profile. There are a lot of area of improvement as well, because most of robo advisory now take the public offering only. They don't include the private offering, because the private, as I said, is very complex and has a lot of challenges. So robo advisory has still room for improvement. There are certain brackets where there are incidents, human incidents, they would require a human intervention. You know what I mean? Like when I said, for example, about our culture, if a person gets married, that means he has higher responsibilities. That's an AI algorithm. If you don't introduce that concept to them, if you imported a robo advisor from US to Saudi Arabia, that might miss that factor, which is non-financial factor. You see what I mean? So there are different areas of improvements in the robo advisor.
No, thank you. And I think, I mean, if you think about technology and AI and mixing that with robo advisory, I think then it becomes a different dimension as well. You still have the underlying, well, what is the data sets which you're training the AI on to give you the robo advisory solutions? But do we see a world in the future where, robo advisors are essentially just running by AI? And if that's the case, then does that lead to sort of a standardized approach across all financial advisors to what solutions are being provided? Or do you still see that there's some sort of differentiation happening?
There will be a differentiation by the differentiating factors of the human being. By the end, we are a human being, and there are differentiating factors. But as well, to be frank with you, I see more people will be boxed in certain categories, and the robo advisory will give you like off-the-shelf solution, like you fit that criteria. You know what I mean? So this is, and as people and the individuals have more sophistication, they might find that they need to adjust those recommendations to fit them better. I think for a certain bracket of people, it will be highly automated, but for a different bracket of wealth, it will still include a human intervention. But instead of building the asset allocation from scratch on a human basis, an analyst or a portfolio analyst could build it using algorithm and then make a human adjustments, for example.
Thanks, Ian. And if we think about that sort of that lower end of the spectrum, right, the ones which are using these solutions for the first time, now they, I would say, would be underserved customers. They haven't invested in this way before, and it's sort of investing for the first time. So what are the risks that they're opening themselves up to, and how are those risks managed?
Yeah, I think this is a very valid question. The first important point, anyone would like to test any solution, make sure it is regulated or it is within a testing environment approved by the regulator. That's a very critical point. That's my piece of advice to anyone. Never go through an opportunity because it came by WhatsApp to you or something like this, because it's really sometimes fascinating that someone would tell you, I invested in this product. It's like, how did you make that decision? Where are the legal docs? How are you protected? Where are the shares held? You know what I mean? So definitely with this increase of adoption of technology in this sector, there will be many startups coming in, and you really need to look into whether it is regulated or not. Who are the people behind it? They are credible. They have investment experience for you to trust in managing your savings, right? And then read a lot, reference, hear customer feedback, and don't test with all your money. That's the last piece of advice. Like, I remember very well, I think in one of our journeys, a gentleman said, I like that opportunity that you guys have on the platform. I have 200K of saving. I will put it all in. It's like I said, please no, because if anything happens, okay, you are in a situation that is not very pleasant. And another tip, if you allow me, is don't test with all your money as well. In addition to have always emergency funding on the side, because this allows you to feel comfortable when you are making the decisions. So test with smaller amounts rather than in big amounts, and see how's your experience, and educate yourself about those platforms.
And just so everyone's aware, in terms of regulation in the kingdom, savings is regulated by SAMA, the Saudi Central Bank, and the investment side, so anything related to robo advisory, equity crowdfunding, real estate crowdfunding, is regulated by the Capital Market Authority. So if you do come across a solution, and if it's related to savings, then please do go check on SAMA's website to make sure they're regulated. And if it's a investment solution you're looking at, then make sure you go on Capital Markets Authority's website to make sure they're regulated there as well. So thank you for that, Ziad. Let's bring this conversation now to entrepreneurship, right? So I'm sitting here, I'm super excited by your presentation here. How do I get into it? How do I start building? If I want to build a solution in wealth management savings, how do I start doing that? What are the key tips you would give to somebody who's starting off, given that you've been in this journey for quite a while now?
Yeah, there are different tips I could provide, but one of them is really that you need to address a problem that you are very confident that this is a problem, and then you need to test if there are people going to pay you something, certain type of fees that for you to solve that problem. You know what I mean? This is very critical. Even if you are very passionate about the topic and you are very dedicated to this topic, but this doesn't pay a bill, that means there is no a serious business model, to be very frank. This is the first point. Second point is educate yourself a lot about the topic. See what have been the trends globally in US, UK, and different jurisdictions in economies that are similar to the economy that you are coming from. Is something that a tip that I always recommend. Read about the topic, understand the different applications, and try to think outside the box to build a solution. I believe that you need to verify the thesis first, that there is a certain problem with the biggest crowd possible, that you can have one-to-one conversations, and then you need to design the solution and test it. I recommend as well that always seek advice and expertise in the field. You might be passionate about the problem and have a solution in your mind, but you need to speak to to certain level of expertise from different dimensions to verify whether it is really something that there is kind of an innovation or solution about it. In addition to reading and as well learning and attending different events or conferences and so on, I recommend definitely hearing podcast or watching podcast in the field that you would like to, specifically in the entrepreneurship field and the wealth management, whether it is as well in the region or from the Saudi Arabia context or globally. There are many top podcasts as well I recommend.
Thanks, Ian. I appreciate it. And we've got some questions particularly about Venry, right? And your journey. What if you could just sum up why you started Venry and what does Venry do? Because I've had a few questions here just asking specifically about that solution.
Yeah. So as a background, my studies were, by the way, were not related to finance. I did economics and political science, and then I spent around 10 years working for a single family office based out of Lebanon and Dubai to help them build wealth planning and execute their wealth management strategy. I almost, as I said, worked for 10 years. I was their investment manager on the private sector across PE, VC, and real estate. One of the key challenges I faced was when I decided to start investing in global investments myself. Whenever I wanted to invest myself, I found out that there are high barriers to enter. And what do I mean by this? Certain investments, the minimum requirements are 5 million or 3 million or 2 million, and some of them are higher. And if you have a $50,000 or $25,000 equivalent to 100,000 riyal, it's like you could literally don't have the gut to say, I want to participate in this investment. They won't get you in. So that was really something that resonated with me, and I faced it in a couple of occasions. Afterward, my co-founder Anas Halabi, who I met and who was a peer as well, was another family. We discussed the same problem, and then we discovered, like, listen, there is a segment like us has a serious issue with accessing top quality investment. And this segment is not well served in our region in the Middle East. So how about we build a solution for the segment that look like us? And this ended up actually that we named the segment Henry's, which is high earners, not rich yet. So we acknowledge ourselves that we are not rich yet, but we are high earners. So how can we sustain our lifestyle, and how anyone living in the region now who's doing very well from professional career perspective sustain his lifestyle if he didn't build a wealth and a passive income? So we decided to say, listen, we're building a solution for this, and our solution will be leveraging technology. We will solve the problem of the relationship of people with money, and we will equip them with all the tools that allow them to all the necessary tools that allow them to take the right investment decisions in order to build a wealth that could achieve for them financial freedom. So this is the mission of Venre, and we are based out. We started based out of London. We are London-based fintech or a wealth stack, and the solution started from the investing as well to the whole wealth planning approach. That's why we started developing tools like the V Simulator, and we have a pipeline of tools that will be available for people on our technology to allow them to make the right investment decisions and right money-related decisions.
Excellent, thank you, Ziad. Ziad, really appreciate your time. Last question, we've got a lot of questions about it, is resources. So somebody who wants to learn more about wealth tech, about savings, you mentioned some podcasts as well before. So any names that you can give for us to share with the audience?
Yeah, definitely. I want to share a couple of things. I would like to share an Instagram page if anyone is on Instagram, a page called Morning Brew. I really recommend this one. And I like about this page. It gives financial content in a way that is really bite-sized and easy to absorb and understand. This is the first one. I recommend a podcast called 20 VC. It's a UK based podcast that addresses the whole entrepreneurship and focus as well on fintech. Podcasts in Saudi Arabia that I learned a lot are like Sawalif Business or the Samania channel. It's a podcast channel that has many podcast programs like Sukrat and so on. I highly recommend this. Hear the stories of the entrepreneurs, hear their journeys, even if they are not related to fintech. That's very helpful. In terms of reading, obviously the top financial magazine or outlets. I really like Bain and Company reports. They have been publishing a lot of reports related to investments, related to the different components of the chain. So I would definitely recommend people to look into Bain and Company's reports. And yeah, maybe finally, I would say just always be open, speak to people about this topic. And there is a book called The Psychology of Money. If people like books, read the book of Psychology of Money. Finally, I definitely, as I said, recommend that stay in touch with us because we'll be developing a lot of content on this topic to allow people, and specifically in Arabic as well, for the audience that is Arabic based.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time and efforts on here. And I think the whole audience has learnt a lot. We still got loads of questions. Apologies, we couldn't get through all the questions. Kareem, is there anything specific that I've missed? Otherwise, we can go on to our big announcement as well.
No, I think it's pretty much covered. What we'll do is, Ziad, we'd appreciate it if you could share those resources with us. I think the majority missed the name of the Instagram channel as well as some of the podcasts. So if we can share them with us, and we will make sure that the attendees get them as well. We will make sure that they are shared on the Telegram group. So for the attendees, make sure you join the Telegram group. But other than that, I think the questions were covered. There were a lot of questions, I think, are related to where should I invest my money. I don't think this is the right venue to answer these questions. People need to do a lot of reading and a lot of research and understand the different investment vehicles to decide where to invest their money. So apologies for not answering those questions. If we had the secret sauce, we'd give it to you, definitely. We'd be investing our money with it as well.
Kareem, do you allow me to say something?
Please, yeah, please.
As Kareem said, this is not the right place to say like we recommend investing here or there, because there is a basic concept that we've learned, and people who knows, like when I completed my Chartered Financial Analyst CFA, there is always the ability and the willingness for the people. There is a suitability test for any investment. But if anything, I can confidently tell everyone here on this, and anyone who will watch this in the future, that any content creator on Instagram or TikTok that try to promise you fast path to wealth, or that promises you like follow my trading tips, follow my Telegram, and then you will make it to the moon, and please don't believe this. This is not correct. Please don't believe this. There are Instagram influencers, like financial Instagram influencers, that are trying to promote themselves as they can tell you, buy an apartment here, buy an asset there, do this, do that. Please don't do this, because if they have made it that big, they wouldn't be on Instagram doing that job. Okay, that's the least check. So that's my only and sincere and genuine recommendation for you.
I think sound advice there to end on. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. I'm sure you're going to get hundreds of of connections on LinkedIn, and I'm sure there'll be lots more questions coming to you there. But really appreciate your support with us for the Fintech Summer Sessions. Thank you all for joining. I've got one big announcement before we do join, so please do bear with me for a couple of minutes as we do that. So yeah, do you mind if I just share my screen? I think you need to just
Absolutely.
share mine. Thank you. Let me just share my screen. Right, so you guys, because you're so special, you are some of the first to find out about this. This is called Fin24 Fintech. It's a conference. It was only launched yesterday, so this is hot off the press for anybody who's excited. So if you like what we do in the Fintech Summer Sessions, think about what we do on steroids and on coffee and just going at an accelerator's pace, and this is the place that you want to be. So from the 3rd to 5th of September in Riyadh, Fintech Saudi is co-organizing a conference in Riyadh, hosted by SAMA, CMA, IA, and the Financial Sector Development Program. This is big because it's the first time that the regulators have all come together to co-host a fintech conference. And this is going to be about bringing together the whole ecosystem to learn, to work together, to be able to learn from each other, to network, and see some of the most exciting topics which are happening over there. The main threads, the main sort of themes which we're looking at here is how to reimagine financial services. So that covers local and global interoperability, governance, risk and policy, strategic investment and collaborative partnerships. And you'll hear from some of the top people globally, so from around the world and in Saudi, which are all coming to the kingdom to participate and be part of this. It is for us, it's very important for us to showcase the exciting things which are happening in Saudi. So that would be very much a big part of what we do, about how do we increase the profile, how do we attract more investment locally, but how do we support local fintechs? There's a whole agenda related to how do we support local fintechs, how do we grow them, what's happening in the marketplace. So this is definitely a place, it's open for everyone, it's free to attend. And Lena, if you can write in the chat the link to register. I would also highly request, if possible, for everyone here to follow 24 Fintech on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I think they're all on Snapchat. I think they're on every socials there is. But please do follow 24 Fintech, because we're going to be doing a lot of work going forward in the next few weeks. We'll have some other announcements as well, especially for our special Fintech Summer Sessions community. But this will be a big splash which we're trying to make. It's the first time that we're doing this, and we'd love to have your support for joining us in Riyadh. So if you're not in Riyadh, please do book your flights now, book to come over. If you're in the kingdom, then please do make arrangements to come and join us for the first week of September. There will be 4 stages. So we'll have an executive summit, trend stage, fusion stage, future stage, all covering different areas of fintech, all around different trends, covering different types. So you'll have panel discussions, fireside chats, you'll have keynote speeches. So really, I think there's a lot of stuff. And then there's also a lot of fringe events as well. So there'll be opportunities to network, opportunities to meet other people, and there's also a startup competition. So do please get involved. We will share more information, but I just wanted to share that announcement because it is hot off the press. So on that note, yeah, thank you very much again for joining. Kareem, is there any final questions that we need to cover off at all?
I think we're good. I think everything's been covered. Just reminding the audience here, the Telegram group link is in the chat. The FAQ link is in the chat. It provides you with information related to all your operational questions that have been asked. So please check those and make sure that you're on the Telegram group, because we post all the recordings and all the presentations of the sessions over there. Thank you, Sagar. Thank you very much, Ziad, for this amazing session as well.
Thank you very much, Sagar and Kareem and Dina. Thank you very much, guys.
Thanks, yeah. Just reminding everyone, next week we have another great FinTech Summer Sessions. It's on CBDC. So we've had a lot of questions which have come in the last few weeks on central bank digital currencies. We've got Hui from CFT, who is a global expert on the subject. It is definitely one that you don't want to miss. So looking forward to seeing everyone again next week. Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, yeah.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye-bye.